Ladies and gentlemen, when we speak of control, we are not invoking chains or oppression, but rather a liberation that arises from discipline. To control one's mind, money, and mouth is not merely a feat of self-mastery, it is the cornerstone of a well-lived life. Let us consider these three pillars one by one, for each is a realm of influence that governs not only our external circumstances, but also our innermost being. The mind, the forge of character. The mind is where every action is conceived, every word rehearsed, and every financial decision weighed. If the mind is chaotic, distracted, or dominated by fear and greed, then all other aspects of life will falter. Yet how rarely we pause to examine our thoughts. They rush past, unbidden and unchecked, shaping us without our consent. To control the mind is to reclaim agency, to say, this thought will serve me, this one will not. Meditation, study, and self-examination are not luxuries, they are necessities for those who would live with purpose rather than drift with the current. Money a servant, not a master. Money, by its nature, is a tool, neither moral nor immoral. Its character is determined by the hands that wield it. Yet how easily it becomes a tyrant when we lose control. It is not the amount of money that matters, but the relationship we have with it. To some, great wealth brings ruin, to others, modest means bring joy. The wise steward sees money as a means to an end, to provide, to build, and to bless others. Budget with intention, save with wisdom, and give with gladness. In these acts, money serves its proper purpose. The mouth a mirror of the heart. Of all the powers we wield, few are as potent as the spoken word. A kind word can heal a heart, and a careless one can break it. How lightly we treat the power of speech. Yet the tongue, small though it is, steers the course of great relationships and great conflicts alike. To control one's mouth is to ensure that words align with truth, charity, and necessity. Speak less, listen more, and when you do speak, let it be for building others up, not tearing them down. The interplay of mind, money, and mouth. These three, mind, money, and mouth, are not isolated domains. What occupies the mind governs how we handle money and the words we choose. A mind consumed by envy spends recklessly and speaks poison. A mind at peace invests wisely and speaks grace. Likewise, habits of careless spending or speech can corrupt even the most disciplined mind. The call to mastery, control, in these areas is not a gift bestowed upon a fortunate few. It is a discipline cultivated by all who desire a life of meaning and integrity. Start small, reflect daily. Ask yourself, have I guarded my mind from unworthy thoughts? Have I used my resources wisely? Have my words honored or harmed? True freedom, as it pertains to the human experience, is found not in the absence of constraints, but in the mastery of oneself. The first and foremost area where this mastery must take place is in the mind. Our thoughts are not passive, they are the foundation of every action, word, and choice we make. A person who lacks control over their mind is at the mercy of external circumstances, impulses, and fleeting emotions. When our thoughts are unchecked, we become slaves to them, driven by fear, greed, anger, and desires that often contradict our true values. However, the moment we learn to govern our thoughts, we not only gain control over our own actions, but we begin to shape our reality in profound ways. The mind, when left to its own devices, can be a tempest. It can be a swirling chaos of worries, fantasies, and judgments that cloud our clarity and judgment. We all have moments where our thoughts spiral into negative or unproductive directions, from self-doubt to resentment. These unchecked thoughts often lead to decisions that may not serve our well-being or our long-term goals. Without the ability to regulate them, the mind can be a turbulent force that leads us into states of anxiety, indecision, and frustration. Yet, in the pursuit of self-mastery, we must recognize that it is not our thoughts alone that define us, it is our relationship to them. The key to freedom lies not in the absence of negative thoughts, but in our capacity to control which thoughts we entertain and which ones we allow to pass by. The mind's power is in its ability to focus. Focus is the gateway to mastery in all areas of life. What we choose to focus on ultimately directs the course of our lives. A person who trains their mind to focus on constructive thoughts, on gratitude, purpose, and growth will naturally develop habits that align with those thoughts. Their actions will be deliberate, their speech thoughtful, and their financial choices reflective of long-term aspirations rather than short-term impulses. It is this focused attention that transforms dreams into tangible results. A mind that is disciplined and controlled doesn't waste energy on distractions but harnesses its power for intentional progress. Control over the mind is not a single, monumental event, it is an ongoing practice. It involves developing habits of thought that can transform the mind from a wild, uncontrollable force into a refined tool that serves our highest aspirations. Meditation, mindfulness, and reflective thinking are all methods that help cultivate such control. Meditation, in particular, allows us to step back from the rush of daily thoughts and observe them objectively, teaching us to create space between stimulus and response. This space is where true freedom exists, the ability to choose how we will respond to any given thought, whether to engage with it or to let it pass. Over time, this practice not only strengthens the mind's ability to focus, but also cultivates resilience in the face of distractions and challenges. Control of the mind is intrinsically linked to emotional regulation. Our thoughts give rise to emotions, and unchecked thoughts often lead to emotional turmoil. For instance, when we allow ourselves to ruminate on a past mistake, our emotions are driven by regret or shame. If we constantly focus on what we lack, we foster feelings of envy or inadequacy. Conversely, if we focus on our strengths, the possibilities ahead, and the positive aspects of our circumstances, we cultivate feelings of gratitude and optimism. Thus, the mind acts as a mediator between our inner and outer worlds. It is the lens through which we interpret our experiences. When we take control of our mind, we also gain control over how we interpret the events that unfold around us, which ultimately influences our emotional and psychological well-being. In the broader scope of life, the disciplined mind fosters the development of virtues such as patience, perseverance, and humility. The untrained mind is prone to quick judgments and impulsive actions, often leading to regrettable consequences. The disciplined mind, however, reflects before acting, weighs the consequences, and considers the long-term impact of its choices. This approach not only ensures better decision-making, but also fosters a sense of integrity and responsibility. People with disciplined minds act in alignment with their values rather than being swayed by immediate gratification or external pressures. The mind is deeply tied to our sense of identity. We often identify ourselves with our thoughts, believing that they define us. But in truth, the mind is merely a tool we use to navigate life. It is not the totality of who we are. By mastering our minds, we free ourselves from the tyranny of our thoughts, allowing us to become more self-aware and more aligned with our true nature. A mind in control enables us to see ourselves clearly, to recognize our strengths and weaknesses, and to act in ways that align with our deepest values. It is a source of power, but only when it is harnessed with intention. The relationship between the mind, money, and mouth is deeply intertwined, with each influencing the others in profound ways. Our thoughts shape how we handle money and how we communicate, while our financial choices and speech can have a direct impact on the way we think. This interconnectedness reveals a deeper truth: mastering one aspect of life is not enough. To live a balanced and purposeful life, we must cultivate control over all three areas simultaneously, as they work together to form the foundation of our character and actions. When one area is neglected, the others often suffer as well, creating a cycle of chaos that can undermine our well-being. On the other hand, when these realms are in harmony, they reinforce one another, leading to a life of stability, integrity, and fulfillment. The mind serves as the starting point for everything we do, including how we relate to money. Our financial decisions are often driven by subconscious beliefs, fears, and desires that we may not even be fully aware of. For example, someone who has grown up in an environment where money was scarce may develop a mindset of scarcity, constantly fearing financial instability. This fear can lead them to make impulsive decisions, such as overspending on things that offer temporary comfort, or hoarding resources out of a deep-seated anxiety about future needs. Similarly, a person who equates wealth with self-worth may find themselves pursuing money relentlessly, disregarding their personal values, relationships, or health in the process. These patterns are not just random, they stem directly from the way we think about money. Our beliefs, whether conscious or unconscious, dictate how we earn, spend, and save. Therefore, changing our relationship with money requires first changing the way we think about it. We must cultivate a mindset of abundance, where we understand that there is enough to go around and we are worthy of prosperity without being consumed by it. The mind also plays a crucial role in how we speak. Words are not simply a form of communication, they are reflections of our internal state. The things we say, whether to others or to ourselves, are shaped by our thoughts and beliefs. When our minds are cluttered with negativity, doubt, or resentment, our speech often mirrors this. We may find ourselves engaging in gossip, complaining, or speaking harshly to others. Conversely, when our minds are clear, focused, and rooted in positive thinking, our words tend to be more thoughtful, constructive, and compassionate. In this way, our speech becomes a powerful tool for either reinforcing or challenging our mindset. If we speak with kindness and encouragement, we strengthen our ability to remain positive and focused. But if we indulge in criticism or cynicism, we reinforce negative thought patterns that limit our potential. Therefore, by taking control of our speech, we can directly influence our mental state, which in turn impacts our financial decisions and overall sense of well-being. Money, too, plays a role in shaping our thoughts and words. Our financial situation often affects how we feel about ourselves and how we interact with others. When we experience financial success, we may feel confident and empowered, leading us to communicate more freely and act with a sense of security. On the other hand, financial struggles can lead to feelings of inadequacy or shame, which may cause us to withdraw, avoid conversations about money, or become defensive when the topic arises. This emotional response to money can affect both our relationships and our sense of self-worth. It is important to recognize that our financial situation is just one aspect of our lives and does not define our value. By learning to detach our self-esteem from our financial circumstances, we can gain greater control over how we respond to both money and the people around us. Financial challenges, when approached with a clear mind and a healthy attitude, can become opportunities for growth, learning, and innovation. The interplay between the mind, money, and mouth also extends to the realm of relationships. How we think about money influences how we communicate with others about it. In relationships, financial stress can often lead to tension and conflict, especially when partners have differing beliefs or approaches to managing money. For example, one person may see money as a means of security, while the other may view it as a tool for personal freedom. These differing perspectives can create misunderstandings and emotional friction. However, by cultivating a disciplined mind and open communication, couples can navigate these differences and work together toward shared financial goals. When both individuals in a relationship approach money with a sense of shared responsibility and mutual respect, it strengthens the partnership. Similarly, the way we speak about money, whether it's in the context of budgeting, saving, or spending, can either reinforce or resolve conflicts. Thoughtful, respectful communication about money fosters transparency and trust, while rash or defensive speech can deepen divisions and foster resentment. This interconnectedness also manifests in the way we manage our time and energy. The choices we make with our money often reflect our priorities, which in turn shape our mental and emotional state. For instance, someone who spends money frivolously on short-term pleasures may feel a temporary sense of satisfaction, but may also experience regret and anxiety later. On the other hand, someone who makes conscious choices about their spending, aligning their expenditures with their values and long-term goals, is more likely to experience peace of mind and fulfillment. The discipline of managing money wisely, in alignment with a clear and purposeful mindset, leads to a life where financial stability supports rather than undermines mental and emotional well-being. The mind, money, and mouth cannot be separated from each other. They are reflections of the same underlying forces: our values, beliefs, and attitudes. The way we think about money influences how we speak about it, and how we speak about it influences how we think about it. The key to controlling these areas lies in understanding this intricate web of connections and taking deliberate, conscious steps to bring them into alignment. When we master our thoughts, approach money with wisdom, and speak with intention and integrity, we create a life of harmony and purpose, where each area strengthens and supports the others. Neglecting control over the mind, money, and mouth invites not only chaos, but also a disintegration of personal integrity, weakening relationships, and undermining our long-term well-being. Each of these areas, if left unchecked, can spiral into dysfunction and conflict, resulting in a life marked by instability and frustration. The consequences of neglect in these key areas are not immediately visible, but they accumulate over time, gradually eroding our sense of control and purpose. The neglect of the mind, for example, manifests in mental turmoil, indecision, and a lack of clarity. Without the ability to guide our thoughts, we become slaves to our emotions and impulses, perpetually reacting to external circumstances rather than responding with wisdom. Similarly, a lack of control over money leads to poor financial decisions, excessive debt, and an inability to save or plan for the future. These issues often extend beyond financial matters and negatively impact personal confidence, self-worth, and peace of mind. Finally, neglecting the mouth, failing to speak with care, consideration, and integrity results in strained relationships, unnecessary conflict, and a tarnished reputation. In this way, neglecting one area of life inevitably spills over into the others, creating a cascade of negative effects that are difficult to reverse. The consequences of neglecting the mind are often the most insidious. Without discipline over our thoughts, we are at the mercy of our subconscious programming and external influences. A mind that is not properly attended to becomes cluttered with distractions, negativity, and irrational fears, which directly impact the quality of our decisions. When we allow our minds to be filled with worry, stress, or a lack of focus, our capacity to think clearly and make informed choices diminishes. This, in turn, affects how we manage our time, finances, and relationships. A person who is unable to focus on their goals due to mental clutter is far less likely to make wise financial decisions or engage in meaningful conversations. The lack of mental discipline also leads to a reactive approach to life, where we are driven by external forces rather than our internal values. As a result, we become disconnected from our true selves, drifting from one impulse to the next without a clear sense of direction. This internal disarray can eventually lead to feelings of dissatisfaction, frustration, and anxiety, as we realize we are not living according to our highest potential. Neglecting control over money brings its own set of destructive consequences. Financial instability is not just a practical issue, it can also erode our sense of self-worth and security. When we fail to budget effectively, save for the future, or manage debt, we invite stress and insecurity into our lives. Constantly worrying about money can lead to a cycle of poor decisions, overspending in an attempt to alleviate stress, accumulating more debt, and ultimately finding ourselves in a deeper hole. Financial neglect often breeds a mindset of scarcity, where we focus on what we lack rather than what we have. This scarcity mindset can perpetuate feelings of inadequacy and hopelessness, making it even more difficult to take positive action. Furthermore, the impact of financial neglect extends beyond personal stress. It can strain relationships with family, friends, and partners. Money is one of the most common sources of conflict in relationships, and a lack of financial control can lead to disagreements, resentment, and even the breakdown of trust. The failure to communicate openly and honestly about finances can create a divide, leading to misunderstanding and conflict. This underscores the importance of not only managing money wisely but also engaging in open, transparent conversations about it with those who are affected by our financial decisions. The neglect of speech and communication also carries profound consequences. Our words have the power to build or destroy, to inspire or deflate, and to heal or harm. When we fail to exercise control over what we say, we risk damaging relationships, spreading negativity, and contributing to an environment of distrust. A lack of verbal discipline often leads to rash comments, gossip, and arguments that could have been avoided with more careful thought and consideration. Words spoken in anger or frustration can leave lasting scars, not only on others but on ourselves as well. Negative speech becomes a habit, reinforcing destructive thought patterns and fostering a culture of criticism and judgment. Over time, this erodes our ability to engage in constructive dialogue, making it harder to resolve conflicts and build meaningful connections with others. Moreover, the way we speak also reflects how we view ourselves. If we speak with self-doubt or self-criticism, we reinforce negative beliefs about our worth and abilities. Conversely, when we speak with confidence, respect, and clarity, we build not only our own sense of self-esteem, but also the trust and respect of those around us. The failure to control the mind, money, and mouth is a failure to take responsibility for one's life. When we neglect these areas, we relinquish our power to external forces, allowing circumstances to dictate our decisions and behaviors. This lack of responsibility leads to a sense of helplessness, as we become passive observers of our own lives rather than active participants. Over time, this passivity breeds resentment and dissatisfaction, as we begin to feel as though we are not in control of our own destiny. The sense of disempowerment that accompanies neglect in these areas can seep into every aspect of life, creating a pervasive sense of frustration and helplessness. When we fail to manage our minds, finances, and speech, we also lose the opportunity to grow. Personal growth requires intention, discipline, and self-reflection. Without these qualities, we stagnate. The mind becomes a prison of limiting beliefs and fears, the wallet a constant reminder of financial inadequacy, and our words a reflection of unresolved inner turmoil. Growth occurs only when we take the initiative to exercise control over these areas and make deliberate efforts to cultivate better habits. The person who consciously chooses to control their thoughts, manage their finances, and speak with integrity is on the path to personal growth, while the one who neglects these areas remains trapped in cycles of stagnation and dissatisfaction. Neglecting control in the mind, money, and mouth is a recipe for personal and relational breakdown. The neglect of these areas invites instability, confusion, and conflict into our lives. But the good news is that these areas are not beyond our reach. By developing awareness, discipline, and a commitment to improvement, we can regain control, restore balance, and create a life that is aligned with our values and aspirations. Mastering control over the mind, money, and mouth is not an instantaneous achievement, nor is it an effort that can be pursued intermittently. It requires continuous, deliberate practice, constant reflection, and a commitment to personal growth. This discipline, however, is not a burdensome task, but rather a purposeful journey of self-improvement. True mastery in these areas is built on the foundation of daily habits, small choices, and a mindset of progress rather than perfection. It involves taking incremental steps towards self-awareness and aligning each of our actions with our deeper values and long-term goals. In the realm of the mind, mastering control starts with awareness. Often we are so caught up in the rush of daily life that we fail to notice the constant stream of thoughts running through our minds. These thoughts can be unproductive, negative, or disempowering, but without awareness we remain passive observers, victims of our own mental patterns. The first step to mastering the mind is cultivating mindfulness and ability to observe and understand our thoughts without judgment. Meditation, journaling, and self-reflection are powerful practices that help build this awareness. Through mindfulness, we learn to notice when our thoughts are veering toward negativity or self-sabotage. We then gain the ability to redirect these thoughts intentionally, focusing instead on what is empowering, constructive, and aligned with our values. This ability to control our thought patterns is crucial for our mental well-being and overall effectiveness in life. It enables us to maintain clarity, peace of mind, and resilience in the face of challenges. Developing mental mastery also involves cultivating emotional regulation. Emotions often arise in response to our thoughts, and when we fail to control our thoughts, our emotions can quickly spiral out of control. An unchecked mind can lead to feelings of anger, fear, or frustration, which in turn influence our behavior. The ability to regulate emotions requires awareness and a willingness to confront and challenge the thought patterns that give rise to these emotions. For instance, when feelings of anxiety or stress arise, the individual who has mastered their mind is able to pause, examine the root cause of these feelings, and address them thoughtfully. This does not mean suppressing emotions, but rather understanding and managing them in a way that does not overpower our decision-making. By cultivating emotional intelligence, we can navigate life's challenges with greater calm and clarity, making decisions that align with our values rather than being driven by reactive emotions. In terms of money, practical mastery involves both knowledge and discipline. Financial control begins with understanding the basics of personal finance, such as budgeting, saving, investing, and managing debt. Without this knowledge, individuals are at the mercy of external financial forces, from inflation to unforeseen expenses. Developing financial literacy is an essential first step. Once we understand how money works, the next step is to develop the discipline to make wise financial choices. This includes creating a budget that aligns with our income, prioritizing saving and investing for long-term goals, and avoiding impulsive spending driven by short-term desires or societal pressures. The habit of living within one's means, coupled with a forward-thinking approach to saving and investing, lays the foundation for financial stability and security. But discipline in money management goes beyond merely making smart choices. It also involves overcoming the temptation of instant gratification. In a society that often values immediate rewards, cultivating the patience to delay gratification and invest in the future can be a powerful tool for long-term success. The mastery of money also requires a shift in mindset. It is not enough to simply control spending and saving. We must also examine the deeper beliefs we hold about money. Do we see it as a tool to provide for our needs and the needs of others, or do we see it as a source of power, status, or security? A healthy mindset around money is one that values it for its utility rather than its symbolism. A person who is financially disciplined understands that wealth is not a measure of their worth, but a resource they can use to support their goals and the well-being of others. This mindset fosters a sense of peace and abundance, reducing the stress and anxiety that often accompany financial concerns. It also encourages generosity, as the individual who masters their finances is able to use their resources to help others and contribute to causes they care about. In mastering the mouth, control is rooted in mindfulness and intention. Words have the power to shape not only our relationships but also our internal state. The words we speak reflect our values, our emotional state, and our view of the world. To speak with control means to speak intentionally, choosing words that align with our values, that promote understanding, and that contribute to positive outcomes. This requires a high level of self-awareness, as well as a commitment to listening deeply before responding. Often the temptation is to react quickly, to speak without thinking, or to defend ourselves when we feel threatened. However, this kind of reactive speech can escalate conflicts and create misunderstandings. The practice of pausing before speaking, considering how our words will impact others and what outcome we want to achieve, can help us communicate more effectively and thoughtfully. It also requires us to speak truthfully and with integrity, ensuring that our words align with our actions and values. Mastery over speech also involves fostering empathy and understanding. To speak in a way that is constructive and positive, we must first be willing to listen with empathy. Effective communication is a two-way process, and by mastering the ability to listen deeply, we improve our capacity to respond with wisdom and care. Active listening allows us to understand not only the content of what others are saying, but also their underlying emotions and needs. This understanding helps us tailor our responses in ways that foster connection and resolution rather than conflict. It also encourages humility, as we recognize that the perspectives of others are as valid as our own, and our words should reflect that respect. In all three areas, mind, money, and mouth, mastery requires intentional, incremental improvement. It is not a destination but a continual process of growth. Each day offers an opportunity to practice mindfulness, to make a wise financial decision, or to choose our words carefully. Over time, these small, consistent efforts compound, leading to significant personal transformation. The individual who is committed to mastering these areas does so with patience, recognizing that true change takes time and effort. There will be setbacks and challenges along the way, but with a focus on progress, not perfection, each step forward brings greater control, confidence, and fulfillment. Mastering the mind, money, and mouth is not about achieving a perfect state of control. Rather, it is about committing to the ongoing journey of self-discipline, awareness, and growth.